Hello there, I'm Paul Belflem. This is Industrial Organization. The topic of this presentation is branding and reputation. What we want to do is to understand how branding can alleviate asymmetric information problems. If you want some background reading, you can go to section 13.2.1 in the textbook. Right, let me first remind you what we have been covering so far. We are dealing with problems of asymmetric information. Typically, buyers know less about the quality of products than sellers do. And so sellers need to find a way to convince consumers that they produce high quality. And we've seen that in situations where there are repeated purchases, so a repeated interaction between buyers and a particular seller, then the seller can try to take some actions that will signal the quality of their product to the consumers. And remember, for this action to be a signal, consumers must believe that this action could only have been taken by a seller producing the good quality. And this belief must eventually be confirmed by the seller's behavior. Right? So this is a theory of the signal, and we've seen two examples. Large advertising or marketing expenditures can be a signal. And remember, the advertising doesn't need to be informative directly, but because it's so expensive, consumers understand that this advertising can only be made by some producer of high quality. And so advertising becomes indirectly informative. The same goes for warranties, and especially warranties that are extended by sellers beyond what is required by, for example, the government. Okay, again, this is an action that becomes a signal because it led consumers believe that this action can only have been taken by a seller producing the good quality. Okay. Now, with warranties, you may also remember that there is an additional problem now on the side of the consumers who may not take care sufficiently of the products if they know that the warranty is extended. Right. Now, we want to look at another channel through which sellers of high quality products can actually convince consumers that their product is of high quality. This other channel goes through branding and reputation. We changed slightly the setting that we've been using so far. Up to now, quality was supposed to be given or chosen ex ante, and once and for all. Okay? Well, in reality, things are often different because at every period, sellers may have to convince consumers that their product is still of a high quality. Okay, it's because, for example, they regularly modify the features of their products, or because they change suppliers. So at every period, consumers are not totally sure that the product is still of a high quality, and so the seller has to convince again and again that the product is of high quality. Okay? Now, what does it change? Well, first of all, the repeated interaction between the buyers and the seller is likely to continue. There is always a chance that there will be a next period. Okay, and we will see that this is key for the seller to use this actually and try to build a reputation of being a high quality producer. Okay, and we'll see that one way to materialize this reputation is to use a brand or a trademark, which can be seen as the way to capture this reputation of being a high quality producer. Okay, and by the way, we will not describe this in this presentation, but you should know that this argument also extends to several products. I mean, if you've got a strong brand name, you can use this brand name for different products. Think of Virgin. It used to be just a brand of distribution of CDs, or before that of records, but the brand name was extended to many other fields, and you may probably know Virgin Atlantic, which is an airline that has nothing to do with the initial product that Virgin was selling, but the brand name has been used as an umbrella for different products. Right. So let us describe the setting that we use now. I mean, it's very similar to what we have seen before, but first the game is repeated through time and we don't know when it's going to end. And also, this is the main difference, the seller is choosing the quality and the price at every period. Okay, so at every period there is a decision that can be made by the seller about the quality of the product, and there is this asymmetric information. The buyers, when they buy the product, they don't know the quality, and this goes for every period. Okay. Now, consumers, of course, when they don't know something, they've got to form expectations about this something. So consumers have to form expectations about the quality of the product that they will receive. Okay, but the difference with the previous setting that we looked at is that the consumer's beliefs now can depend on the seller's past behavior. Okay, so they can condition what they believe on what they have observed in the past. Okay, and so one way to one assumption we can make, and this is something that echoes what we do as individuals. We may believe that regardless of prices, a seller that marketed the low quality in the past will also do so today. Okay, so if we realize that we have received a bad product in one period, well, we may stop having confidence in this seller, and we may think that for whatever period in the future, we will continue receiving low quality. Okay, and this is important because these beliefs will make it very costly for the seller to deviate from the high to the low quality. If consumers have these sorts of beliefs, then a seller that produces a low quality at one period, well, it will be impossible for this seller to sell high quality products in the future. Okay, and so this seller will continue selling bad quality. Okay, the opposite is that if the seller continues to sell high quality and keeps a reputation of high quality, then this seller may hope to sell a high quality product at a high price in the future. Okay, so this is the argument that we want to capture in this setting, and we will just go through a very simple model to establish that. Okay, here is the example. We've got two potential qualities, high and low. Okay, and in this table we show how much consumers are willing to pay and how much a seller, at which price, I should say, a seller is willing to sell. Okay, so let's start with the first column. The value for consumers, or the willingness to pay, is 50 for the high quality product and 10 for the low quality product. Okay, so see this as the maximum price that consumers are willing to pay for one unit of either high quality or low quality. Now, the sellers, they have different production costs according to which quality they put on the market, and it is 35 for high quality and 5 for low quality. Okay, so here, this is the minimum price that seller is willing to accept for a unit of either high or low quality. Remember also that we have a large number of consumers, they are all the same, so they all have these willingnesses to pay, and that puts the seller in a very strong bargaining position. Basically, the seller can extract the whole surplus for consumers by quoting a price which is just equal or just below the maximum price that consumers are willing to pay. Okay, now, what do we assume concerning the beliefs that consumers have? Well, we will assume that consumers give the benefit of the doubt in the first period. Okay, they give the benefit of the doubt to the seller by assuming that the seller is putting a high quality product on the market. Okay, and consequently, consumers are willing to pay the high price of 50. Okay, and consumers keep these beliefs as long as the seller is offering high quality for sale period after period. Okay, and they continue to believe that they will receive high quality, and so they are willing to pay this high price of 50. Yet, if at one period they observe that they receive low quality, then their beliefs for the future will be that they will receive low quality period after period. They stop having confidence in the seller, and they kind of punish the seller by believing that this seller will forever offer low quality, and so in that case consumers are no longer willing to pay 50, they are just willing to pay 10. Okay, so facing these beliefs, what is the seller going to do? Okay, well, how will the seller make a decision here? The seller has to take into account the immediate consequence of her decision, but also the consequences for the future. Okay, so in other words, the seller is choosing an action based on the flow of future profits, the profit that the seller will receive right now, and the profit that she will receive in all subsequent periods. Okay, now you probably know that if you want to make this kind of decisions, you need to have a rule to compare profits today and profits at a later date. Okay, so this is the concept of using the present discounted value. Right, so we'll just make a very quick example here. Suppose or dream that the interest rate is equal to 25%. Okay, so this means that if you have 100 euros today, they will be worth 125 euros at the next period. You multiply by 1.25, 1 plus the interest rate. Okay, reversing the argument, it means that if you are to receive 100 euros tomorrow, well, what will be the value of this today? How much would you have to put in the bank today to receive this 100 euro tomorrow? Well, you would have to put 80 euros in the bank today. Okay, how do you get this 80 euros? Well, you divide 100 by 1.25. Okay, or which is to say you multiply by 0.8. Right, so this is the discount factor, 0.8. This is what we are going to use to compute profits at their present discounted value. Okay, so based on that, we can compare the two actions for the seller at a given period. Okay, one course of action is to keep on offering the high quality. In that case, remember, consumers will keep on believing that this is the high quality that they receive, and so they're willing to pay period after period a price of 50. Remember also that the cost of producing the high quality is 35. Okay, so in that course of action, there is a margin of 15, 50 minus 35, there is a margin of 15 to be received in every period from now on to the end of time. Okay, so you receive 15 today, you receive 15 tomorrow, but the discounted value of 15 to be received tomorrow is 15 times 0.8. You receive 15 in 2 periods from now, so the discounted value will be 0.8 times 15, and so on and so forth. So this is an infinite sum, right? If you remember the formula of an infinite sum, well, it is given here. This is what you receive period after period, 15 divided by 1 minus the discount rate. Okay, and if you do the math, this is 15 multiplied by 5, 75. Okay, so I repeat, this is what the seller would obtain by maintaining his good reputation of being a high quality seller. Now, there is a temptation for the seller, which is to deviate, okay, to benefit from the fact that she has a high reputation, and based on that, it could fool the consumers by selling them instead the low quality product. The advantage, of course, is to save on costs. Okay, it can still sell at 50 because consumers believe it's a high quality product, but by fooling them and putting on the market instead a low quality product, it saves the production cost. It's 35 for high quality, it's just 5 for the low quality. Okay, so the margin today would jump from 15 to 45. Okay, the problem is that as soon as from the next period, consumers will stop believing that this seller produces a high quality. The buyers will be willing to pay just 10, and this is so forever. Okay, so the margin then would be just 5. Okay, and so on and so forth. So here you get 45 immediately, and then you've got an infinite sequence of 5 period after period. And if you do the math, well, this is the 45 you gain today, and the infinite sum that starts tomorrow is 5 multiplied by 0.8 divided by 0.2, if you do the math, you reach 65. Okay, so in that very example, in that numerical example, we see that it's more profitable for the seller to keep on offering the high quality. Okay, because the immediate gain of fooling the consumers with low quality, this immediate gain is lower than the future losses of losing your good reputation. So to summarize the result, we see that in this case, at equilibrium, the seller always offers the high quality. Okay, we see that the loss of a reputation in the long term weighs more than the short-term gain of selling the low quality at the price of the high quality. Okay, and if the seller does so, the buyers are right to believe from the start that the seller always offers the high quality. Okay, so there is consistency between the beliefs of the buyers and the course of action taken by the seller at equilibrium. Okay, so let us summarize what we have learned here. The lesson is the following. So suppose that a firm repeatedly faces the moral hazard problem, whether to offer high quality or not. And if consumers used past firm behavior as a guide for future behavior, and in particular if they no longer trust firms that offered low quality in the past, then the firm may always provide high quality. Okay, so you can see this as reputation exerting a disciplining force, forcing the seller to sell high quality in every period in order to maintain its good reputation. And as is said in the picture here, a reputation that took decades to build can be threatened by a single event. This is exactly the story that we were telling here. Selling a bad quality in one period would cost the reputation of the seller and would prevent the seller from having larger profits in the future. And this threat of losing all this is sufficient to convince the seller to keep on selling high quality products in every period. And so the asymmetric information problem is solved in this case through the use of branding and reputation. This is all I wanted to cover with you in this presentation. Thank you for your attention.